This is the Ryan Luelf Show.
Most guys do have a ton of stuff that we hold on to that we just don't talk about. And as much as I didn't really want to be, like, I always feel like that I can live my life in privacy, even though I'm a social creature. You know, I have a big following on the social platforms, but I always have this sense that no one's really going to know who Brian Barlow is because I hide what I hide.
Mm.
And then how many men, and I know I'm in the majority. We all have secrets, but what do we do with those secrets? How do we manage those secrets? How do we get help from those secrets? How do we normalize those secrets? Because those secrets are destroying us and keeping us from the best version of living in our now.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely. And we're not even talking from like a moral standpoint.
No.
We're not talking about secrets that,
No.
you can't share because it's harmful to anyone. We're talking about secrets that if information came out, there is so much judgment. There's so much criticism. There are so many human beings who live from their programming that tells them that they believe they're the police.
Right.
And they're entitled to give their opinion, which is what it always is. It's just their opinion, which really isn't even their opinion or any of our opinions, because all of our opinions have been impacted and affected
by other people's opinions.
By other people's opinions, who were affected by other people's opinions, who were affected by other people's opinions, who were affected by other people's opinions.
Who were affected by dinosaurs.
Right.
So let me ask you this though. What did you think when I dropped that bomb? Like what went through your, I'm like, because listen, I know you help hundreds, soon to be thousands of men in how to be the best versions of themselves, which is not as simplistic as that sounds. But I'm sure you have men that drop bombs like that on you all the time. And what goes through your head when you hear that? Does it a spark of, okay, well, now I know how to get him to position B? Or, holy shit, did he just say that? I'm like, what goes through your mind when someone drops that?
I think it's many things. The first thing that just comes to mind that went through my mind was my heart just went out to you. I'm probably considered an empath. I feel everything, and there's a real beauty in that at times.
And as a guy, that's not very common.
Maybe so. I think, though, there are more guys that might be surprised at how much they would feel if they felt safe enough
to be their true version,
to be the
but
real
we're not
them.
we're not supposed to be okay with that.
Why?
Right.
Why? Who said?
Because I love you more knowing that you're an empath.
Oh, and I love you more knowing that you were able to just spontaneously let something out that your soul needed to be let out, but your mind probably would tell you you shouldn't let out.
Bro, I drove home and I'm like, God, was that okay?
Well, let me say something here, because and I don't even care if this ends up being the whole episode. I'm totally fine with it. Why do people actually think that they somehow should be able to dictate one's sexuality? Like, I really find it really intriguing that more humans have not questioned what they were taught around the category of sexuality, and how they just simply accepted this is right, this is wrong, this is acceptable, this is not. You
this
should
is good,
do
this is
you
bad.
should do this, right? Like, I'm just going to tell you right now, sexuality is a beautiful element of humanity. And I find it so unbelievably tragic how we have fucked that subject up royally.
Big time.
And we have taken out play and nuance and lightness and exploration and fun,
curiousness
and connection,
yes,
and intimacy, all in the name of some moral high ground that was completely made up, probably on the basis of control and manipulation.
Absolutely was.
And then we have excluded people in families. We exclude people in businesses, careers, and social settings. We exclude people from friendships. Like the way people have been treated because they discover someone goes about their sexuality differently than they do, it's disgusting. Like,
and small-minded.
Unbelievable. And this is coming from people who are probably just lucky. Like, what if you had been born and all of a sudden you figured out at 13 as a little boy that you were turned on by other boys? You didn't ask for that. You didn't have anything to do with that. Like, what if that had just been your experience? And what if simultaneously you had also been raised in a family that said it was wrong to be gay, or that you were going to go to hell for being a homosexual? Like, it's really incredible how many people who have never been in the shoes of a person who's been discriminated, who's been treated wrongly, all on the basis of their sexuality, their sexual preferences, their sexual desires, the beauty of the human body. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And yet, how many people have dysfunctional sex lives? I have worked with, I can't even tell you, Brian, the amount of men that have prostate cancer that I have encountered just because of my own cancer journey. You know what I've discovered? One of the questions I would ask these men every single time is I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely phenomenal, 1 being absolutely horrible, I want you to rank how you feel about yourself sexually, and I want you to rank how would you describe your sex life in that entire category over if they were 35, if they were 42, if they were 59. You mean tell you something alarming?
No.
I probably have asked that question to at least 100 men with prostate cancer in the last 10 years. And I have never had a single one of them answer either one of those questions higher than a 3. What? In other words, the body is manifesting all of their shame, their dysfunction, all the judgment they feel, and everything that got crammed down inside of them, or everything they felt like they had to hide, everything they felt frustrated about in the category of sexuality, of sex. Guess what? It manifested in the spot of the body that is connected to our sexuality as men. Yes, every time. It's incredible. The tears that would flow down these men's faces.
What was the question again? Like what was the exact wording, or close to the exact wording that
I would ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it was phenomenal, it was awesome, you loved this. 1, it was absolutely miserable, absolutely horrible. 2 questions. First, where would you rank how you feel about yourself sexually?
Not above a 3.
Not above a 3. And then how would you rate your sex life throughout your human experience?
What was that?
3 or less. Every time. And most of the
time,
time,
they all had prostate cancer.
It was a 1. And every one of them had prostate cancer. Like, you see it over and over and over again when you open up your mind to go beyond the little bit of programming and the little bit of knowledge and the little bit of conditioning that you got in the little world that you grew up in, and you expand way beyond what you were just told, and you get curious. You become the scientist of life. You become a person who's wanting to discover what might be true versus assuming that what you were told is true.
Right.
Big difference. And when you expand, you find this mind, body, soul, spirit connection. The body keeps score. The body doesn't lie.
You're right. And you literally start becoming what you think.
Absolutely. Or the unresolved stuff that you don't have a place to talk about. The unresolved emotions and feelings that you hide and bury. And then eventually, it's like Dis-ease is a precursor to disease.
Listen, this is gonna blow your mind. This makes perfect sense now. I knew the moment that I allowed myself to be the sexual version of myself that I had always hid, that I would lose everything, and I did.
Yeah, I think often our soul does know. And the human part of us that's built for survival, the ego, the identities, the roles we play, the wanting to be included, the wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, it will keep us in hiding. It will bury those secrets for a really long time. But the soul, the timeless, limitless, boundless, free being and true essence that we really actually are and always have been and always will be, is always calling us into complete freedom.
Well, that's what I was going to say. On the flip side of that conversation, I also knew there would be a day that I would speak of the journey on my way to the best journey of my life. And we're in the beginning stages of that. I have as much as I wanted to be an airline pilot, I have manifested this journey.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
knew there would be a time I would sit across from somebody and I would tell this story. I even knew it was going to be a podcast. This is back before podcasts even exists. I have manifested this moment.
Well, we're always manifesting everything all the time, whether we realize it or not. We are. I mean, we are the essence of life. We are God. We are the universe. Not in the sense of egotistically or that we're in control. We're the fabric of life itself. We are the energy that courses through our veins. We are the director of the movie. We are so much more powerful than the majority of us have been led to believe, and the majority of us are acting like we are. You can't be a victim and accept the truth about who you are simultaneously. So for most people, what's the payoff that they keep getting for playing the victim role that holds them back to stepping in to this incredibly powerful source of life that every single one of us truly is?
Yeah, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That whole analogy is so true. And it's funny because I also think, which is also one of the reasons why I went ahead and just inserted some personal information in that last podcast that might help us tell the story of your teachings and the philosophies and the theories that I think will help so many men. I think I had to be public with that with you. Number one, for me to be the truest, most authentic version of myself for this podcast, for your teachings, for your potential customers out there who need to understand there is a better way of life. There's a better essence living in the now and in the best version of yourself. Number one.
What do you think was? I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to go on to number two.
No, and I was just going to say number two. I have had so many experiences during this transition time of my life that are so humorous and can be told in such a way that I think people will pay to see and hear the comedy come out of it. But that comedy is not being told because, number one, there's not very many men that are in that in-between area that are public with it, or that have had the experiences, or that have the confidence and articulation aspect to be able to tell the story in a way that makes it funny. I've always wanted to be a comedian. So in order for me to get to the best version of Barlow 2, which at the end of my professional life is I want to be a comedian, not necessarily right now, I'm still developing the content.
Okay.
But in order for me to get there, I was at some point going to have to tell people that, yeah, I'm not necessarily straight. I'm on the spectrum when it comes to sexuality. I don't even know if bisexual is the right word.
Okay, that's fair.
Not that
we don't have.
Not that we need a label, right?
No. And by no means was I trying to put you into a
No,
box.
I didn't feel that.
So, and I've got a few questions for you that I think would be.
So I was just saying that it's funny because I was going to have to take that step at some point, and so now that I did, it opens the door for the real reason, which is there's going to be a comedy special that I'm going to put together, and I'm going to go on the stage, and I'm not going to say it's going to be in front of hundreds of thousands. I'm manifesting that. I'm thinking that.
Fair enough.
But I do know that I'm going to be on stage at some point, and it's going to be a comedy tour on the ins and outs of a man that in his midlife crisis is curious.
Yeah, I think there's a term, they call it bi-curious.
Bi-curious. So the term
bisexual, bi-curious.
Bi-curious, yeah. But I would say I'm more, I think the word is pansexual, where you're connected to people and gender doesn't really matter as much. And again, I'm not into the labels and, making sure I understand, who is what. But from what I understand, I am connected to people. Excuse me, I am attracted to people who carry a vibe that makes me feel positive or makes me feel like I can be the best version of myself. And it doesn't matter the appendage or lack of appendage.
Yeah, I think a couple things come to mind for me. One, I would love to ask you, how would you describe, what was it that you were most afraid of that could potentially happen for you to say that out loud and for you to admit your curiosity?
My son. My son's a little bit more conservative.
Okay.
I think he understands that he's got a dad that's a little bit out there, and I think he embraces that dad.
Okay.
I don't think he can ever. But it's funny because he's a big supporter of. I've told him, hey, I'm going to be a comedian. All of his little buddies think that I'm hilarious. Blah blah blah, whatever, right? But they're always, we'll all go to comedy shows together and hang out and all that. He's like, Dad, you got to do this someday. Well, what I don't have the heart to tell him is, bro, I'm going to. But the content is not something you probably want to sit in the audience and listen to. Now, my daughter on the other end, she's like, Dad, I don't care. Let's do it. So I think that's the biggest fear.
How do you balance between wanting their acceptance and their approval, knowing the fact that you give them, I get the impression you give them the freedom to have beliefs and see the world from a different point of view than perhaps you do.
Correct.
That's not going to change your dynamic,
Correct.
your relationship. They are their own autonomous being.
Absolutely.
And maybe their view on spirituality or God or sexuality very well could be different, than yours. And you seem to be at ease about that, which I love. I just, and that's a whole nother topic for us to discuss. And what I think so important as a man, if you're going to really walk in true freedom and in true liberation, it's going to be really difficult if you think everybody else should think exactly like you.
Absolutely.
So how do you balance, Brian, this need to be loved, accepted, and approved by your own kids, especially your son, and at the same time abandon the true authentic self that you are by keeping it from him? And what does that look like if we were inside of your head and inside of your mind? How many times have you thought about telling him and then you didn't? Walk us through that a little bit.
Well, so it's funny. We were coming back. We were reffing somewhere in Texas, deep down in Austin, and we were on a pretty long drive back. And I was telling him, I was trying to figure out a way that I could tell him that I was dating somebody, but I was curious as to his response if I led him down a path that it might be that I'm telling him that I'm gay, which, by the way, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I feel the need to defend that. That's got to be an issue with.
That's okay.
It's yeah.
No. I wouldn't call it an issue. It's just a reflex. It
maybe.
Just shows you how our nervous systems get developed.
You're right.
There are just certain topics and certain things. It's just like a built-in fear into the fabric of society.
Isn't that crazy?
But we wonder why there's so many diseases, there's so many addictions, there's so many problems, there's so many things done in secret. We wonder why people end up having these wild, weird behaviors that just all of a sudden show up. Well, because we were built to be liberated. I believe that with all my heart. We were built to be free, okay? And I don't even think what most people call freedom is the freedom I'm even referring to. I'm talking about freedom to be yourself, freedom to explore,
Yeah.
to be curious, to look into, freedom to think, I might want to try that, and not have a barrage of, oh my God, I can't believe you would
or a
even
label.
consider that.
Oh, well, you must be gay. Right.
Yeah, I am really happy.
Yeah.
Like, it's even interesting how words can mean different things
Right.
to different people,
Right.
you know?
So we're driving down the road. Said, hey, so I just, I've been meaning to have this conversation with you, and it's obviously a very sensitive subject for me, but you're very important to me as my son. Your approval. There's probably 3 or 4 people in this world that I need their approval, and you're one of them. So I just want to let you know that I need to have this conversation with you, and it might be a little uncomfortable, but I am dating somebody. And he said, Dad, you don't even have to say anything. I know. And
This conversation happened, or you've just imagined it happened?
No, it happened.
Oh, it just happened.
Yeah. And I go, He's like, yeah. He's like, it's okay. I love you. I don't care if you're gay. And I said, no, I was just going to tell you I'm dating somebody. Like, I'm dating a woman, and I want you to meet her. He's like, oh, I thought you were telling me that you're gay. And I go, no, I was just telling you that there's this girl that I've been going out with, and I really like her, and I want you to meet her. But that gave me
Confidence.
Mm-hmm. Now, that was 5-6 years ago. I think now, he's made, we all evolve. Every 6 or 7 years, we are a different version of ourselves than the previous 6-7 years.
Or maybe every 6 to 7 minutes.
Could be. I'm evolving right now, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Actually, I am evolving right now. Thanks to the Ryan Luelf show.
You look a little uncomfortable over there in your seat. You're getting a little fidgety, Brian.
Sorry, is that?
No, I make a joke, but in all seriousness, like, can we have courage? Can we be brave? Can we do the thing we know we need to do and be okay that in our human form, like, yeah, maybe I do get a little nervous. Maybe my armpits sweat. Maybe my stomach turns a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I am fidgety,
Yeah.
right? Like, I want to keep saying this in the sense of consequences, cause and effect, and real life here on planet Earth. I get it. Like, it is scary. Like, for some people, if they announce something publicly, there is backlash. Maybe they aren't invited to family functions going forward.
Right.
Maybe they get hate mail. Maybe they get, maybe their family disowns them. Like, I understand that's real, right? But we talked about this on a previous episode. Brian, what does it feel like, though, inside your body to keep abandoning the real you, all in the name of not being sure if another human, in this case your son or whoever it is going to approve or not based on their programming, their conditioning, their worldview, and their belief system?
And I don't even know how he got to be so conservative, because it's not something we did, we didn't groom him like that. But I think both of our families, both his mom and my mom, very conservative, traditional family upbringing. So I think he's got a little bit of that DNA still in his body. But to answer your question, I want to be the best version of myself, but I want to be respectful to my son too. So I don't have the answer right now.
Yeah.
I just know that at some point I need to know that he's okay with me being the best version of myself. And I think I know the answer, and I don't know what I'm afraid of, but I also don't want to lose his love, and I don't want to lose his respect. And I think all of us, we look up to our fathers and our grandfathers. And I do think that while we're very different human beings, I do think that he looks up to me. And I do think that he admires me. And I don't want him to have visions of what gayness is to a 21-year-old. It's a very different version in a 21-year-old mind than it is in a 52-year-old mind. And in fact, I'm not really gay in that sense. I have been curious, but I'm into and I'm attracted to and I'm after connection, and connection at the highest level. Connection with someone who wants to be the best 2.0 version of themselves. Someone who understands that I don't care what religion you're in. I don't care if you even have a religion. I care that you can have a conversation on either side or can be persuaded through logic. I'm attracted to that. I'm attracted to somebody who goes, oh, you've had some curious or some interesting sexual encounters? I'm interested in knowing, not, ooh, you've been with like a dude? No, step back. Like, I'm not interested in that. I'm attracted to people who's curious about life. And I don't think a 21-year-old can understand that.
I mean, I would challenge you to let go of that story. Who are you to decide how anyone is prepared
That's
or
very
ready?
interesting that you say that.
I'm just saying, you said, that you're into manifesting. Well, if you
Manifest different.
if you keep telling yourself a story about whether or
It's
not
going to
you
come to
think-
life. It's proven itself.
Absolutely.
Stop thinking that way.
It's an invitation.
Yeah,
It's an
stop
invitation.
thinking that way.
Yeah.
Accept that, okay, maybe he has a tough time getting over it. Maybe he doesn't.
I want to go back to something you said a minute ago. You said you're afraid of losing his love.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually what you're afraid of.
Tell me.
So when you feel that your son, Eli, is proud of you, when you feel his expression of love towards you, what you're really actually enjoying in that moment is the way you feel in your body.
Yes.
You, I think, accidentally, though, are assuming that that comes with Eli versus realizing that it's actually coming from inside of you.
Okay, I'm following.
So you're afraid that if he learned of a newer or different version of you that he's not currently aware of, that you would lose the feeling of how you currently feel
when I'm with him.
When you're with him.
Yes.
And I'm suggesting you're the one that's in control of that feeling.
And to let it go.
And that you don't have to give your power away to your son. That regardless of whether your son is able to fully accept something based on how you choose to live your human experience, that is not what predicates the feeling
of love
that you have inside.
I'm aware.
And I would also say that you're not afraid of what might unfold by you telling him the truth about your full, authentic self. You are actually afraid of the story that you've made up that you've already decided you think is going to happen, and you actually don't know what's going to happen. For all we know, Eli is bi-curious as well, and he hadn't told you, and he's waiting for a moment where he feels safe enough. I don't know. I'm just saying, you have no idea what's going to unfold. None of us do. People tell me all the time, and I just crack up at this. It's like, but I'm just so afraid of what might happen. I'm like, how can you be afraid of something that hasn't happened?
Or what might not happen?
So what are we actually afraid of? We're afraid that if a certain thing happens, that we won't be a big enough version of ourselves to be able to handle it. So if you think about it,
okay, I hear what you're saying. And I think I'm comfortable enough in the version that I am right now where I can accept and handle any response that he gives. So I'm being weak by not just.
You're being human. Please don't. I don't think you need to call yourself weak.
Okay.
You're being
That's
human.
fair.
You're being human.
That's fair.
Yeah. You're being real. It's sensitive.
It is.
It's not easy.
It's not.
And the invitation here is not for you to lash out at yourself as to why you haven't done it. We're about understanding. We're about having the conversation. We're about bringing potentially new ideas and new perspectives that might free us up to be able to go about something that isn't easy to navigate and be able to navigate it.
So many men. You know, this is just my story, Ryan. I mean, so many men have sexual
dysfunction, sexual shame, sexual irritation.
And I just want to keep it on that too. Like let's just stop on this podcast, just that alone, there are so many arms to sexual dysfunction.
100%.
And I would even say 80 to 85, and I don't have scientific numbers here, but just intuitive, gut instinct. 80 to 85% of men have to have some form of sexual dysfunction, curiosity.
Well, I mean, you're taught, depending on what, religion you grow up in. I mean, there's religions that, try to arrange marriages for everyone. There's, religions that tell you you're going to, go to some place in the afterlife, or you're going to be tormented and torched and, had all these horrible things done to you if you, have certain sexual thoughts, or if you perform any certain sexual acts outside.
Or masturbate.
I mean, it's really insane. We have taken something so
Beautiful.
miraculous, so beautiful, so amazing,
Life-giving.
so erotic, so
yes.
pleasurable, so playful, so fun. And we have literally tried to take the genie and stuff it back in the bottle.
We have.
Right? And I would love nothing more than to see a whole new generation of men who can really step into and harness their sexual power. Like, there is so much to talk about. We could do an entire series on this. I mean, I've even learned about the sexual energy that can flow from the top of your head all the way down to your sacrum and through your spine.
Mm-hmm.
You can go even on YouTube. There are people who believe that that energy can be channeled and can be used not only in just sexuality, but it can be used financially. It can be used in your health. It can be used energetically. It can be used in such a powerful, powerful way. Some people even refer to this liquid or this secretion that literally travels from the top of your head all the way down to your sacrum as the Christ.
No.
Absolutely. I'm telling you.
Bro, I've heard some crazy shit. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I've only watched maybe a couple of videos on it. I wouldn't by any means say I'm any sort of an expert or that I even fully grasp and understand it. But this goes back to something I may have said on an earlier episode. I am no longer threatened by any potential idea that exists out in the universe. That doesn't mean I accept everything I hear. That doesn't mean I align with every point of view or perspective or story that anyone is sharing. That doesn't mean I think everything makes sense or is truth. But I find it really fascinating at how many people live in a world where if what you're bringing to them is anything outside of what they already know to be true, they demonize it, they're afraid of it, they're threatened by it.
It's not of this world.
They get triggered.
Yes.
And I say, why? If you supposedly have the market cornered on truth, and if supposedly you're believing in some almighty, powerful God, which typically I find are the people that tend to function in this way, shouldn't you be the people that have no fear? Is your belief system so fragile that if you even get exposed even a little bit or hear anything outside of the confines of the structure of truth that you've decided is the one and only way to interpret all things, that it'll just penetrate you and affect you and cause you to catch some disease, if you will, disease of belief?
You're gonna grow a third arm.
It's just insanity.
It is.
And so if we want to get back to being like a kid, if we want to get back to the freedom of what it was like when we were a little boy or a little girl, if we want to get back to the liberating ways in which I believe we were designed to come down here and experience our humanity, maybe a first step would be, okay, maybe I don't really know that much about life, about being human, about the universe, and about any subject matter. And even though it might feel uncomfortable, it might be scary, and it might be something that at first I feel a lot of resistance to, I'm going to be intentional to open up my mind, my heart, and my soul. To be okay to hear different points of views, especially on subjects like sex, money, God, politics, life, etc. The stuff that gets most people riled up the most, because they have a sense and a feeling that they need to be right, because the consequences in their mind of getting it wrong are so large that they can't even afford to explore anything outside of what they've determined has to be right. And for some people, it's their livelihood. And it's their paycheck.
It's their safe spot.
It's their safe spot.
Yeah.
It's their being accepted in their family. It's the difference between having to maybe talk to their kids about the fact that maybe mom and dad aren't going to stay together anymore. It's the fact that they believe there's a deity in the sky that absolutely hates divorce. And so even though they've been living like roommates and they know they're not compatible and they know there's no spark or romance, there's no polarity, and they want nothing more than to be free to go and explore what all humans want, which is to be chosen, which is to be desired, which is to be sexual, which is to be intimate.
Yeah.
There's 9 billion people on the planet. I seriously doubt it was set up for you to only have one person that could create the feelings and meet the needs.
You're going to go to hell, Ryan.
Well, you know what? I've felt like many a times on my planet Earth journey here as a human in 45 years, I think I've already been there a few times, Brian. So feel free to send me, buddy. And I know you're joking, but like whoever wants to send me to hell, try going there yourself and being there yourself already, being tormented, being punished,
bullied,
being hated, being told how wrong they are, being disowned, being excluded.
It breeds cancer.
Absolutely. I've felt it. You can't send a person to hell who's already been there. Because I don't think it's a location somewhere outside of planet Earth. I think I think it's the way you feel inside when you simply feel like who you are is not allowed.
People are in a living hell.
Literally hell.
Literally.
And if you're not getting to have sex when you desire to have sex, that's a living hell. If you're not able to freely express your curiosity and your sexuality in the ways that you're interested in, that's a living hell. If you're in a sexless marriage and you don't know what to do about it, you're in a living hell. If you're having sex and your partner, though, has been raised in purity culture or thought it was wrong or doesn't want to explore any of the fun stuff or can't go beyond like one or two things and just lays there and it feels like an act, you're in living hell. If you're having to turn to pornography, I don't give a shit if you watch porn. I don't think it's even a moral thing. But what it is a counterfeit to what you really actually want.
And need.
And deserve and desire and ought to be getting.
But Ryan, porn's such a terrible, terrible thing.
No, it's not.
The people that watch porn are searching for themselves, and they're never going to find themselves if they watch porn.
You know, I don't even know what to say that. And I know you're leading me somewhere, but it's just like, I just find it hilarious. People think porn is the issue, and I'm like, man, it's 7 layers deeper than that.
So deep.
Right? Like, I remember a guy came to me, and he felt so much shame around watching porn. You know what my advice was to him? I said, I think step 1 is being able to watch porn without shame. He's like, you're not going to tell me to stop watching porn? Fuck no. Why? What's the big deal? Right? I said, I'm going to predict that as soon as you can watch porn freely and not have the shame, which will then allow you to really identify what it is that you're seeking, what it is that you're after, what it is that you're missing, so you can face the real thing, I'm going to predict porn is not even going to interest you anymore. 6 months later, he said, holy shit.
Wow.
He's like, Ryan, porn's not my issue. I said, yeah, I know. He said, I have been afraid to face the truth around what it is that I'm really frustrated about. And he goes, I started having moments while I was watching the porn where revelation was coming to me. He's like, when I started letting go of the idea that this was wrong, that I should feel shame, it created space. And actually, I began to be ministered by the porn. And I went back and started realizing when I was a little kid where my misunderstandings, where my dysfunction, what I was shown, what I was taught, what was modeled for me, set me up to be afraid to talk about my own sexual desires, needs, and curiosities. And I have hidden all of that in the shame that I associated with porn. You freed me up to the idea that there was nothing wrong with porn, and it began to show me everything that was wrong with my programming around sexuality.
You gave him a blank slate.
We can have a blank slate at any moment. We are willing to just get the eraser out. A new canvas, rip the sheet off.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay.
What if you knew, I mean knew, I'm not even talking about a belief, because a belief is typically something we adopt from someone else. What if you knew that 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 you absolutely cannot fuck anything up in this life? Now, I know that's going to be misinterpreted. I'm sure someone's going to message me and they're going to say, well, Ryan, you just can't go kill anybody.
You can't not pay your taxes.
Well, actually, you can. That doesn't mean there aren't consequences. I'm not suggesting there isn't cause and effect. What I'm saying is the true essence of who we are cannot be touched by anything we experience as a human. You're never going to fuck up your essence. It's impossible. Your essence is a timeless, limitless, boundless being, life force that supersedes this three-dimensional world that we're experiencing through our senses in this meat suit we call a human body. And yeah, there are definitely things that we discover and we learn that are more optimal for having a wonderful human experience. Definitely, if we kill people, that's probably not going to be the best way of being human. But it's not going to touch our essence. It's not going to touch who we actually are. It's just going to impact and affect the experience we have while we're alive in our body.
So what would you say right now to someone that's sitting here listening? Maybe they're driving the car listening. Maybe they're on their computer getting ready to watch porn after this. I don't know. But what would you say to that guy, that man, that knows he has sexual dysfunction, but he can't pull the trigger? He doesn't have the intuitiveness that your pre-patient has. That took some mental fortitude. I mean, let's be honest. That took someone that really comfortable and introspective with them and comfortable with themselves. Not everybody can do that. What do you say to that guy that's watching right now, that's going to go watch that porn, that knows he has dysfunction?
Well, I want to
say, isn't introspective like that.
Yeah, I want to say, first of all, I understand that there are certain things that maybe can't actually be discussed publicly. I mean, it's a real thing. People could lose their jobs.
Sure.
It could impact
families.
So I understand. So there has to be a safe place, first and foremost, for things to be brought to light, for things to be discussed. And we all have to weigh the cost. Do I believe in the abundance of the universe that if I authentically were to share everything about myself, and that did potentially change the dynamic in which I earn money, or the dynamics in how my family treat me, do I believe enough in the true abundance of the planet that somehow things can work out and unfold even when my mind can't see it?
Oh, hey, it's me again, Barlow. So I want to let you know that what Ryan Luelf is coaching, it's super real, not programmed, not premeditated, and not inspired by anything other than raw truths and an unconditional love formatted by Source, you. Ryan's testimony is real. His life experience is indicative of a program he designed to not only transform one's self-identity and purpose, but to give a new outlook of what real, unprogrammed life could be, and at its highest, most enjoyable frequency once the preconditioned societal norms have been dismantled, erased. His work is raw, real, and life-altering. If you want more of this content, we have 2 places that you can go. You can join Ryan Luelf's School, SKOOL, for raw, unedited versions of his podcast and him personally, or you can book a free simple clarity call for men needing to be heard, needing to be understood, or just given hope, someone to listen, to say that life is as real as your conscience allows. Those calls are designed to help you gain clarity. They're called clarity calls, and they're free. We hope that you allow us to help you, and then if we can help you, then you can let you. Pretty simple.